Hey there everybody, it's markcrilley. I'm back with another video. This past Tuesday marked the arrival of my newest book, The Realism Challenge. So I thought I would devote just one video to giving you a guided tour of the book itself, showing you some of the artwork, the original artwork that was used in creating it, and even showing you some of the objects that these illustrations were made from. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, it was important for me that this book did not throw anyone right into the deep end in terms of taking on one of these realism challenges. So I actually started with just about the simplest thing that you could imagine, a torn sheet of paper. And you can see how it takes you through in a very step-by-step way, showing you how you would add these shadows and so forth. And little by little, we work our way towards slightly more advanced things, like this popcorn, for example. That's probably the most advanced one from the early lessons. Let me go ahead and zoom in here a little. They all sort of culminate with the same final image, as you've seen in my Realism Challenge videos, inviting you to compare the photograph of the actual object with the illustration. Now, as the book goes on, little by little, we step things up until you're taking on things that are a bit more difficult. But even so, you can always see the progress from just the pencils to just a little bit of watercolor, adding in colored pencil here for this piece of toast. Let me go ahead and zoom in for the final image so that you can see how close I was able to get there. Of course, little white gouache. Can't end the illustration without my beloved white gouache. About halfway through the book, there's a section called Advanced Surfaces. That's when things really start to get a little interesting. This piece of lace here, that certainly took me a long time to do. Let's see if we can zoom in just a little bit so you can get a closer look at it. And then I also wanted to show you one of the next ones, this shard of porcelain. I thought that came out pretty nicely. Again, gouache, key to pulling off many of these effects. But I wanted to take an extra long look at this one of the strawberries. Strawberries really lend themselves to the Realism Challenge because of those sort of sparkling highlights that you can put in there. And I thought, well, why not just pull out the original artwork so that you can see what it looks like. So there you go. The strawberries comes in about halfway through the book. There's a whole section of the book devoted to transparent objects, like this water bottle. That one certainly took a long time, I must confess. Let's zoom in a little, have a little closer look at that one. Transparent objects, I think, are just, again, very well suited to the Realism Challenge. And I thought this time I could show you not only the original artwork, but the actual object that I was looking at. So let's go ahead and pull this out here. This is that original glass box, and maybe I'll zoom in a little closer so you can get a good look at the details. And this was the box itself. And maybe, the lighting situation has changed a lot from what I originally was looking at, but you get the idea. Possibly even more fun than the glass stuff for me is the metallic objects. I think they definitely sort of dazzle the eye, this being the real spoon, this being my illustration of the spoon. And here's where my video life overlaps. I created this step-by-step lesson on aluminum foil. I enjoyed it so much I decided to make a video for it. Some of you may recall last March I did do a video that was very similar to this, having practiced the technique for the book. But I want to show you something kind of interesting. This illustration of a hubcap must have come from an old Chevy. Let's zoom in a little bit here so that I can do like I did a minute ago and grab that actual beat-up old hubcap. Again, different lighting situation, but you can kind of get a sense of how I did my best to emulate the surface of this object. The final lesson in the book is what I call the ultimate realism challenge. This one really pushes you to your limits, bringing together all these different surfaces: wood, metal, porcelain, glass. And because of the size of the book, this was the one illustration that had to be significantly reduced in size from the original. So I thought I would bring out the original, let you maybe compare a little how it got shrunk down, and then maybe let you have a closer look here. I'll sort of maneuver this so that we can zoom in a little closer. This one did take quite a long time. I think I spent about 2 full working days at this one to make sure that it would be a proper closing illustration for the book. So there you have it, the Realism Challenge, front and back. Before I go, I just want to thank my publisher, Watson Guptill, and their designers. They did such a classy job with this book. You can take off the dust jacket cover there and see all these illustrations on the interior cover. Just top to bottom, they really did an amazing job putting this all together, and it really is something of a breakthrough book for me. You know, every book that I've ever done up until now has always been related a little bit to comic books. This is my first book that I think can be considered a sort of a fine art book, so it's a real honor and a thrill to have this book out there and available. So big thank you to anyone who decides to order it. I'm very, very grateful, and rest assured, next week's video I'm going to get back to one of my how to draw videos, but for now let's go ahead and wind this one down. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back with another one real soon.